interviewing. You know, that's what they doing. Stick around. It's about to get all roomy up in here. Remote Ruby starts now.
Chris Oliver, what is happening?
Andrew Mason just got done with lunch. We have Jason Charnes in the house, but we'll see if he shows up and joins the podcast in person.
Crazy.
It would be wild to have him here 2 weeks in a row now.
Back to back. I asked him the other day about coming on at some point because he does have something big going on right now. So he said he would.
They announced it on social media, his job boardly side project, which funny enough was something I started and gave to him a long time ago. I don't know how many years he's been working on that since then, but they got acquired. We put together a poster and said congrats on being acquired or whatever and put some balloons up when they got here.
Nice.
It was cool.
Big things are happening.
I'm sure that's a lot of weight off his shoulders as well.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention having a full-time job, side business, 3 kids.
And work is
used to be a podcast.
He's been under the gun at work as of late, I will say. So
that's what he was telling me earlier.
Sure he was. But he loves to moan about it. No, don't tell him I said that.
Yeah. Hey, that's why we have the podcast, right?
I know, right? I ran into an interesting turbo situation this week, which I thought might be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
So we were trying to add some like real-time updates for reactions, emoji reactions. Okay. So like Slack. So like if I favorite something or like react to a comment or post with a reaction,
a React component.
Right. Well, then we wanted it so that you, as another user on the site, would automatically have those reactions updated in real time.
Yeah.
So we threw a broadcast on the model with a turbo refresh for after commit hook or something to send a broadcast with the data we needed to render a partial, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And everything was going great until we realized...
Until production.
Well, we like tested it out and this is what we saw. Everything updated exactly the way it was supposed to. But if you had selected the reaction and that reaction got updated, so like if I click on the reaction, it should have like an active state basically to show that I've clicked it.
Yeah.
But when the job updates the partial, because it's coming from a background job, it has no concept of current user. So whenever it updated the component with the new set of reactions, it lost the active state because it didn't know that the current user had clicked it. And I was like, that right there is a tricky one.
Yeah, because really your two solutions are like using refresh or something like on that, just having its own URL. Like if it was a turbo frame where the current user could go refresh just that little portion of the page, because then you would have the context of the current user. Or you need to keep something client side, like meta tag or something, keeping track of all of the things that you've done yourself. Or you have to figure out, we have to broadcast that out for every single user or something. Yeah, not particularly fun. I'm curious, maybe they're using just React components or something, but like, you know, how Slack or, well, definitely with Slack would be components like that. And I guess at this point now, like GitHub's reactions on comments are probably in React as well, but they used to not be. So I'm curious, how did GitHub do that before when they were using like Vue component and Rails and PJAX and stuff for that? I'm not sure.
Dude, it's funny you say that because those were my exact ideas. Like we store the current user in a meta tag and pull it out and use JavaScript to do this.
Yeah,
or
we do that for Go Rails because we have small data set, right? 710 or whatever, 720 some videos. Even if you completed all of them, I can pluck all the IDs for lessons that you've completed and put it in a meta tag and just search that real fast when we display a checkbox or something on the page, and we can like update that pretty fast. But that's not something that GitHub size would work, I don't think.
Well, I had the JavaScript idea and we were like, okay, well, we can do that, but what if we don't? And so my next idea was, what if we create turbo streams here that scope down the change as minimally as possible? I was like, because what are we really trying to change here? What we're really trying to change here is the count on this badge, basically. Like, we don't need to refresh the whole thing. I'm like, what if we just change the count and just change this other thing?
Yeah,
and
right.
I think that's actually what we went with, and I think that's what worked. But I was like, that's
makes sense.
That's an interesting little problem there.
Do you run into, I guess maybe not, but what if the emoji's not there yet? Someone gives a thumbs up and there's like a count of 5. You click that, now it's 6. Somebody else does it, update to 7. But then somebody does like a smiley face or a ta-da or whatever. Are you handling that, or is that all part of this?
Yes, I think so. I'm not the one actually doing this, so I'm really just pontificating here. But I think we're handling that separately.
Yeah.
So what's also interesting is when you do these broadcasts from the model, Rails automatically inserts self. Like, it does like a reverse merge, adds the model object for the create and just not for destroy, but definitely for create. And we ran into like a weird issue. I think it does do it for destroy, but we ran into a weird issue where it's like, well, the job fails because the object's not there anymore, but Rails is including this under the hood. So I think we had to like literally override that on the options for the broadcast.
Depends on how it's set up. Yeah. I almost wonder if you could do just a tiny turbo frame for it and then just trigger a refresh for just that turbo frame. Because then you could have a morph on it where you could morph the contents, but then you could simply have it when the page loads, you could even lazy load that stuff so you don't need it immediately. You can then have it trigger a request to that page, which is going to be the tiniest page. I guess you could also cache those. Maybe you don't want to cache it for every unique case because it could be like 10 different emojis. You have 2 selected or 3 or 4 or whatever. Like, any number of those might be selected, but if none of them are selected, that could be an easy cache and just really quickly re-render that or something.
The problem specifically with doing that for us is that when you hover over the emoji, we show like a tooltip with like so-and-so.
Yeah,
I think the same way that Slack works. So that presents a problem because the simple turbo frame would work if we just had to update that thing. But because we have this tooltip on top of it that needs like all this additional data, it's a little more involved. And that was one of the limitations that made this a little more complex.
Interesting. That'd be fun to play with building that and making a project out of it. Maybe we'll do a screencast.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of the teeny tiny turbo frame for
Me too.
that. And I guess if you were using like Tippy or something for tooltips, as long as it was morphed, then the only tricky thing is like...
Okay, that was the problem. We were using the Bootstrap tooltips. We use Tippy for like popovers, but we use Bootstrap tooltips for the tooltips.
Yeah,
that was the problem.
I was going to say, even in either case, you're probably kind of screwed on it a little bit because all the tooltip libraries are like dynamically injecting HTML for the tooltips because they've got to like, how close are we to the left side of the browser or the bottom or the right? And then moving it around and whatever. So they have like a lot of JavaScript logic. And maybe that'll be something that like could be magically solved whenever the browser really supports like the relative positioning for popovers. Because then you could just have the content in the morph and the turbo frame, and then just hovering makes it appear. And the browser kind of does the positioning, everything for you. Ideally, long term, I don't know that that'll be anytime soon. You know, it's interesting to like be frustrated by that stuff. And then you're like, why can't the browser just implement it? But trying to imagine the meta level of programming they have to do to build something like that to handle every single use case as best as possible, that's tricky. The modals and stuff, tricky. You got to do screen reader support, all that. And then like you look at floating UI, that package, and how many modules and stuff you have to include to replicate Tippy or whatever. Like there's a ton of crap. It's not simple. So it also makes sense why the browser hasn't done it yet. But man, we have so many niceties in the browser these days. I'm like, just give us tool tips. When your app breaks in production, you want to quickly understand and fix it, not sift through the logs for the next hour. That's where Honeybadger comes in. Honeybadger notifies you of errors, outages, and performance issues as they occur and helps you respond instantly when your systems go down. When you need to dig deeper, Honeybadger's advanced query engine helps you reach into your logs and grab just the information you need. With error tracking, performance and uptime monitoring, log management, and support for over 10 languages, Honeybadger is the best tool to gain real-time insights into your application's health and performance. Best of all, it's free to get started and setup takes less than 5 minutes. Be sure to bookmark honeybadger.io. That's www.honeybadger.io.
We actually have a really cool pattern with Tippy that I'm going to mention because you brought it up. So what we will often do is say you click a action button, right? That renders like a drop down with several actions you can take on whatever resource you're looking at. And what we'll do then, for instance, if you hit delete, we will wrap that drop down in a turbo frame. And when you click the delete button, it will go to the server and be like, okay, this is what they want to do. And it will return a turbo frame that will just update the body of that drop down using Tippy. So then what you get is this really nice experience where I click a drop down, I click delete, and then it updates the drop down body to be, are you sure you want to delete this? Yes or no? And if you click discard, the body resets back to the drop down.
That's cool. I like it.
We use that a lot, and I'm a huge fan of that pattern because I do not like modals. Like using Tippy has been a lot of fun.
About the only time I ever use modals is pretty much for turbo confirm delete kind of stuff. That's about it. But I don't want to use that either. I'd rather have it inline or something like you're saying.
Because they suck on mobile. So if your goal is to like have like a nice UI that translates well to mobile, especially if you're thinking in the terms of like Hotwire native or whatever we're calling it these days, iOS, you don't want a ton of modals popping up all over the place.
When you lose context, if the text of the modal is like, are you sure you want to delete this?
Yeah.
If you like come back to that and get distracted and come back and you're like, delete what? You forgot to put any context in here of what thing I'm deleting, where I'm at, what I'm looking at, whatever. And it just pulls you completely out of the context of where you're at. So a lot of times you'll see that pattern in Rails just because it's the default question is, are you sure? Are you sure what? Just a generic confirmation here. That's not really what you want. So like in Jumpstart, we have confirmations that give a title, a description. You can add type delete to confirm, and then you have to type in the input box before it'll enable the confirm button and stuff, all to kind of help you just, hey, yes, you are doing something dangerous, but here's the context. This is what it is. This is what's going to happen when you submit this and whatever. It's the same thing if you use scaffolds too much. You generated UI for me, but I didn't really have a chance to think about what do I want here? What's important? What do I need to display? How do I need to see this stuff? Then you have to work backwards, but you already got something out there. And it's tougher, I think, than starting from scratch and saying like, this is what's important. This is what I want to see. These are the buttons and actions that I need. That's kind of the frustrating thing I have with that stuff these days, which is why I don't typically use a scaffold, or when I do like a confirm. All right, let's make sure that we provide enough information here so you know what's going on and what's going to happen and why and whatever.
I feel like once your app gets to a certain size, you just stop using the scaffolds completely. I cannot tell you the last time I used a scaffold in Podia. Probably never.
Right. And
Why
it's
would
like, it was cool 15 years ago or whenever. But now, the way I see it, and if you're using tools to generate code for you, you're going to tell it what you want to see at the end of the day. Like, you're not telling it, hey, generate a scaffold for this and that. That's not at all. That is this weird sort of interim UI that you get, which is not even as good as a database viewer, to be honest. It's not even as useful as Table Plus. Here's a limited set of views of the data and maybe not even any associations. It's just like, here's the account ID. There you go. That means nothing to me. I don't want to see that. Don't want users to see that. And you got to like go undo all this stuff. And that was kind of like, I think a lot of people's frustrations like I had with Bootstrap. You give me buttons that are already styled, but then I have to override all those styles or undo them somehow in order to make it look the way that I want my buttons to look. And that was, you for years would see like, oh, I know it's using Bootstrap because everything in the design is unique except for the buttons. The buttons still look like the freaking default buttons in Bootstrap. But it's also, funnily enough, one of the issues. You start with Tailwind's reset and you're like, everything's reset. Where buttons don't have borders, they don't have padding, they don't have anything. They don't look like buttons. Headers don't look like headers. They just look like paragraph text, like everything else, like a button. And that feels a little like too far on the other end of the spectrum. But you also have the pros class and stuff to set some defaults. But
yeah, when you were saying that, I was thinking buttons without borders is CBS's next show.
I like it.
Yeah.
That needs to be a podcast.
Yeah. Crap. I had something to say related to that because you brought up kind of like rules. So we've been having conversations at Podia about standard AI rules for the LLMs that we all use, yada, yada, yada. I've always pushed back on that because I'm like, look, all these different AI tools have all these different formats, like cursor rules are one thing, and then Copilot instructions are a thing, and then Claude files are one thing, and then you got Windsurf and yada, 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 yada. I've always pushed back on that. I don't want to add instructions because number one, I don't think that anyone here is capable of writing the level of instruction that would be good enough to commit, I guess. Maybe I'm being a little perfectionist about that, but I'm like, look, there's an art to like this prompting, and it's different based on the model you use too.
Yeah.
So I've always pushed back against that. But the other day I found this tool called Rules, and it's a CLI that allows you to pull files for a specific tool. So basically you can have one set of rules in like a repo or in a folder in your repo, and you can use rules add and then send the repo name, and it will automatically add, and you can specify the tool too. So like for Copilot, for instance, that's what I use. You can do like npx rules render Copilot, and it will pull those rules from that folder or repository and automatically format them for that specific tool. I was like, okay, this I would be willing to do because I was like, I would ignore all of those files so that you can change them on your own, but check in the rules files so that you can just use the CLI to populate it for whatever specific AI tool you're using. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I've had this idea. Someone built it for me and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I might take this and rebuild it to do some of the specifics I want, but this is a sweet, sweet tool. I'll put a link to it in the show notes.
That's a good idea for sure, because there's a lot of nuance to it. There are also like personal style things that you might prefer that not everybody on the team wants to follow. Do you really want to be that strict for everybody? The whole like beauty of Ruby was like, there's a million ways to do the same thing. It's not like Python where ideally there's one clear way of doing it. Ruby's beauty was you can turn it into whatever shape and knife you want. It's your tool. The language is a tool that you can morph into whatever. So if you have too much of that, the other thing on the other end of the spectrum is who cares? As long as it works, who cares? So that's an argument to be made too. But
No, I agree. That's why I've always been against checking in a set of instruction files. It's like I have a way I like to write Ruby, and that might be different from the way Jason likes to write Ruby, but neither is wrong. Like we use standard, but we don't have a quote unquote style guide like Airbnb or Shopify. So it's up to the developer to write the code they want. So that's why I've always been very against having like a standard set of rules. Now, here's a good question for you that you may be able to solve for me, because I was having this argument yesterday. If we were to use a tool like this or something similar where you don't check in the tool specific instruction files, but you have like a standard set of rules that you can pull from, I was very much adamantly like, you should have like a way to merge them with your local tools, but you shouldn't be automatically forced into like when the rules changes, it updates your set of instructions. I was like, because that limits my ability to like iterate on my prompts, for instance.
All from a guy who is so opposed to talking about AI.
I am.
Yes.
Yeah. Never mind. I'm not.
All right. So
I have things to say. I'm not going to.
Here's what you can do with these newfound superpowers that you had. What if you get 10 jobs and work for 10 startups at the same time? And you just get 10 salaries.
Or I could just put 10 Bitcoin miners in gems and...
Hi, I'm Adam from JudoScale, and like most of you, I'm never going to be as smart, funny, and good-looking as Andrew and Chris. But hey, at least they let me sponsor their podcast. I'll make it quick. JudoScale is an autoscaler for Heroku, Render, Fly, and AWS. We're a better autoscaler because we track more effective metrics, analyze them more frequently, and give you the controls you need to dial in predictable and reliable scaling. Traffic spikes, request timeouts, backed up job queues, JudoScale has you covered. Head to judoscale.com/remote-ruby to learn more.
Have you seen this stuff from yesterday? Okay.
No.
Okay. This tweet.
And that's why I didn't see it. All right, continue.
From yesterday. Well, it's all over a bunch of stuff now. But yesterday, Soham, who is the founder of Mixpanel and now Playground AI, posted this tweet. PSA, there's a guy named Soham Parekh in India, I don't know if I pronounced the name right, who works at 3 to 4 startups at the same time. He's been preying on Y Combinator companies and more. Beware. I fired this guy in his first week and told him to stop lying/scamming people. He hasn't stopped a year later. No more excuses. He posts the guy's resume and stuff on here. And then all of these other people are like, we employed him too. Or we currently employ him, whatever. So,
dude, I don't want any hate coming to bro over this. I respect this. I respect this a lot. The fact that you're able to do that, obviously he's good because he wouldn't keep getting hired, right?
Yeah, that's the funny part. It was like either he's good at what he does, or he's also like going after these companies with terrible hiring practices and stuff and like aren't really doing their work or their due diligence or whatever on there.
Don't hate the player.
But I guess, yeah, he's works at more than 4 startups at any given time. There was a whole bunch of other tweets that were like, oh my God, he's in our hiring interview list and stuff like that. It has been hilarious because the original tweet here has like 19 million views since yesterday. And dude, there are so many memes. They're people blowing up domains.
Bro's spot right now.
Right? So there's people buying domains now, being like, we're going to make an AI so you can go work for 5 different companies at the same time.
Dude, I can barely work for one. So if bro's able to do 4 or 5, and he's obviously consistently getting hired, so I have nothing but respect for bro. Like, shout out to him. He's a hero.
It's so funny. Yeah.
If he is using AI, I wouldn't even care because number one, it seems like all these CEOs are perfectly fine with using AI if it saves them on the bottom line. And then secondly, he's obviously the GOAT at using AI to code if he's able to juggle all these jobs.
This is so funny. So a couple of the follow-up tweets were like, not a joke. This is happening real time. This is the 3rd DM today about someone firing him. And it's a DM, hey, Soham, I just saw this. I'm actually employing this guy right now. Thanks for the tweet. Someone from our team sent it to me. I have to digest this a bit, but we're confronting him now. Did
That's
you happen to employ him at some point too? Another one. Hey, Suhail. He's currently doing DevOps on my team at blank startup. Looking into this.
Bro.
And then Suhail replied, "Are you joking? Wow." And the guy goes, "Yep, same exact resume you posted. Hired him in January."
I'm hoping this is like a huge troll, because if not, they are really blowing up Bro's spot for no reason.
Apparently it's legit. And somebody had posted, there's a subreddit for overemployed, which is like working multiple full-time jobs. There's 500,000 people in that subreddit or something.
Yeah, but
which is
doesn't
funny.
mean they're all doing it.
No, but
what if it's like
lots of people interested? You know,
what if it's not one guy, but actually like a group of people, and they're just using like his resume?
I thought about that. Yeah, apparently he did reach out. Soham has reached out. His primary question, asking this is genuine advice. Since I do really love what I do, have I completely sabotaged my career? What can I do to improve my situation? I'm also happy to come clean.
Change your name,
hilarious.
Bro. Change your name and start it all
Yeah.
over again.
Well, it's all over, like all these news outlets, of course. But
bro, they have really. I feel like this guy's getting the short end of the stick here. Am I the only one that feels bad for this guy? Like, they're ruining dude's options here. Getting him fired? That's crazy.
The amount of memes out of this has been hilarious. I was trying to find some of these. I forget where I found all those.
This has given me a great new plan. Say you, me, and Jason all start a consultant company, right? But we only use your resume when reaching out to companies for this, bro. And then we'll just wire up some AI agents to like fix their issues.
Yeah.
Forever.
And then when you need to get on a Zoom call or something, you've just got an AI generated human being that does all that for you.
Well, dude, I was showing my friends yesterday who do not
I'm
work
posting some memes for you here in these.
Perfect. I have some friends who don't work in tech, and I did like the ChatGPT like voice thing, and they were like blown away at how realistic this voice was. The inflections and the pauses, and they were like, that sounds like a real person. So like, to someone not experiencing this on the daily, it could be really easily like to be fooled by these AI voices at this point.
Seriously. Yeah, it's pretty wild. You think about to like guarantee you that every Alexa, Siri, Google Home is just collecting every single person's voice data it can and then training on that. Guess what? It's going to be pretty decent at reproducing human voices that really sound like humans, because they've probably got, I don't know how many years, millennia worth of audio files and stuff that they've collected from commands and whatnot. It's got to be insane.
I can't find it, but there's a Darknet Diaries episode literally about this, about how like some engineer found out that there were people using his resume and interviewing to get jobs. They had all these techniques for like not showing their face like on the Zoom calls or whatever, but at the end of the day, they were all using bro's resume and they were getting jobs. So somewhere out there, there's a Darknet Diaries about this exact thing.
Man, things are going to get real weird real fast in the next few years, I think.
They already are weird. Apparently, Google's new video generation model, like people are using it on TikTok to like flood it with really racist content that's just generated straight off that model.
Yeah. Not surprised, unfortunately.
Not surprised at all. I think the thing I'm the most worried about, especially for us specifically, like people who have thousands of hours of their voice recorded saying every vowel, every consonant. Someone could easily create a model of our voice and then use that to like
ideas.
To use that to like call our bank or something and be like, yeah, this is me.
Quit
blah, blah,
giving
blah.
them ideas. Yeah, it's seriously massive security thing. Yeah, you're going to have some serious actual proof that that person is who they say they are and a process accordingly, which is like something that Kevin Mitnick, he used to like call all kinds of places and get access to stuff because he was very crafty with his pretending to be an employee somewhere or whatever and getting a whole bunch of things, social engineer hacking and whatnot.
I've always been fascinated by social engineering.
Yeah. I thought that at some point I would end up being a security person for a career because it's so much fun, especially as a kid. And you're like, wait a minute, that's a career? Like I could just do sketchy shit. People would pay me for it. Like the red team hackers and stuff get paid by the Lambo dealership to try to break in and steal a car. Those people can do it. There was a TV show they were trying to record a long time ago about like a red team hacking company or whatever. But I guess they never finished recording the show because they did something that was not totally legal or whatever. But it's like, that's kind of what you are paying them to do. Because guess what? The criminals are not
mission completed.
Like the criminals are not going to be following the law, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, it was cool because it was like if they're going to break into a dealership or whatever, they're going to have motion sensors and whatnot for their security. But like if they mounted the motion sensor too high and you could crawl on the floor and get past it through the hallway or whatever, and then you could like get to the keys or whatever and get into that box, picking a lock. If you watch the lock picking lawyer on YouTube, not that bad. Takes practice, of course. He can pretty much get through any lock within a couple minutes. It's insane. And those are all things that are designed and built to a cost price point and stuff for the most part. And there's just so many little details to all that in security and whatnot that it's so much fun. Like I really wanted to get into application security, but I realized in order to be good at that, you really need to know how to write code and develop applications. So that isn't the easiest to jump in without actually knowing how to be a developer and stuff, but it is pretty cool, the amount of tools and things.
I think wanting to be a hacker is like a canon moment for most developers. Like my little brother had the same thing because I had the same concept too. Like my swim coach in high school was a network security professional, and he's the one, bro is like just out of college and he is making stacks. I'm going to do that. Yeah. And that's what set me down this entire road. But then it's like, once you start getting into network security, you're like, oh, this is a whole lot of stuff. I need to learn how to code first. And then you're like, well, now that I've learned how to code, I really don't want to have to go back and take all those certification courses and learn about Windows and domains. Yeah, screw all that. I'll just write code.
Yeah. I like building stuff too and seeing people use my stuff. And that's something you don't get in security. And you oftentimes in security, you don't get recognition because it's not like everybody celebrates when like we protected against this attack. Yay! You're not in a castle being sieged. No one's sitting there watching every server and every single bot trying to attack things. There's just too much of that going on. So you only really end up getting in trouble when you miss something and things go wrong. And at least a lot of security teams now get paid relatively well, but they used to just be like, well, we're going to throw you under the bus if we ever get hacked. We're not going to pay you well. And then, oh, we got hacked. Now we need to actually pay for professionals and invest more into that. But it was always kind of like a too little, too late kind of situation because the businesses often thought of security as just a cost center or whatever. Ideally, you want to be as close to being like a salesperson as possible because the salespeople have very measurable contributions to the finances of the business. That's why they get paid commissions and other things. Like they have the ability to measure exactly how many dollars they brought into the business. But you as a developer, it's a lot more wishy-washy. And then if you're in security, it's impossible to be like, did you really bring in any money into the business? No, can't even imagine that. At least you can. You're like, yeah, I built Gmail and now Google makes a ton of money off of Gmail. You can, like, as a developer, at least have a closer relationship to the profits of the business or whatever, which is good. That's where you want to be.
I feel like everyone falls out of love with the idea of doing network security as soon as they realize how freaking tedious days or weeks or months without a payoff, I guess. That's just Ugh.
Yeah.
Reading through logs all day, like, heck no.
That's all I see. It's like the Matrix, but just
logs.
.php requests.
Dude, for real. .wordpress admin requests. Yeah, the classics.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to RailsConf next week, which
like
I think
5 days from now.
Yeah.
Are you going to blow stuff up tomorrow? 4th of July is tomorrow for anybody listening to this.
Yes.
Not live while we're recording. If you are, then you're a security expert.
When you were like, are you going to blow stuff up tomorrow? I thought you meant stuff at work. And I was like, why would I burn everything down before going on vacation? I'm working tomorrow because
you're the network security guy, bro.
Yeah. Podia being like a global remote company gives me like a lot of flexibility. So I'm going to save a vacation day and I'll switch July 4th to Monday. So I'm going to work tomorrow and then just have Monday off instead.
Yeah. I'll probably do a little bit tomorrow. I'm not sure. We got Mr. The Charns behind me, but his family's here. Our family's going to be here, be in the pool, grilling, whatnot. So I don't know that I'll do much work tomorrow, if any, but
yeah,
it never kind of really ends when you own the business. Still always watching the emails. Not the best.
Well, we don't have access to real fireworks here because it's a fire hazard because we live in a desert and everything's a little dry, except it actually rained yesterday, which was crazy. But because of that, it's kind of illegal.
We have every single parking lot a tent with fireworks in it. And then when you get to the border of Missouri, we went up to Iowa this past weekend. You go over to the Illinois side or any border of Missouri, there are massive warehouses just full of fireworks that are right on the border because they know that like Illinois doesn't have the same rules and we can get stuff cheaper here or whatever. So most people drive across state lines or whatever just to get their fireworks from old Missouri. So you're welcome.
That's how it was with South Carolina when I lived in North Carolina. South Carolina had no rules. Like you didn't have to wear a helmet while being on a motorcycle, and you could shoot off like whatever military grade weaponry you wanted during the 4th of July. And so if you go across the border, it's like, hey, we have a mega warehouse where you can buy literal TNT.
That's so funny. You just reminded me of like, I don't really watch Whistle and Diesel on YouTube at all, but I remember seeing like he's in Tennessee or something. He had the FBI come out to his place because he got an RPG, like an actual RPG.
Yeah. I've seen some of his videos. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Actual RPG is crazy though.
He's like quite an interesting character. It's so funny too to see like the personality people put on their YouTube channel, which is like not actually who they are in real life or whatever, but just for the entertainment value, let's blow stuff up. Then getting your hands on an actual RPG in the US was pretty sweet.
I recently heard him say how much he makes a month on YouTube, and I was like, I screwed up so hard not getting more into YouTube when I was here. Dude, he's making like over $600K a month off YouTube ads, like alone. So
I'm not surprised.
He's got good videos, so I'm not surprised either. But it's just like whoa.
Yeah. I've been enjoying watching. There's a guy, Cletus McFarland, who he was in these 1320 video, like car drag racing videos and stuff, but he was just like being funny. So he gave himself the name Cletus McFarland and then just pretended to be like a super hillbilly kind of person. And that's become his hilarious sort of personality for YouTube. But that's led him, he owns a racetrack and an airstrip and is building a house at his own airstrip. He got to fly the Goodyear blimp and he's now like racing in ARCA races, professional driving, or race car driving, like NASCAR kind of stuff. This is wild, just all from his hilarious little Cletus McFarland thing. YouTube is a fascinating thing. What a time to be alive.
Here's the last thing I got for this episode. I deleted my YouTube premium subscription because I was like, I need to stop watching so much YouTube and I need to save some money. And I deleted my YouTube.
And I'd rather watch ads. Yeah.
And then I had to start watching these ads, and that pissed me off so much. Dude, like, I was like, what the? Because I do everything in my power not to see any sort of ad. So all of a sudden, I'm getting bombarded with these Waymo ads and these Instacart ads, all these. Hell no. 2 days with those ads, dude. I was like, I'm out of here, dude. There's no way.
That's so funny. I've paid for it for a long time because of Go Rails videos being on YouTube and stuff. I watch enough on YouTube that I was like, yeah, this sucks. Paying for YouTube Premium wasn't too expensive, and I'd rather watch that than Netflix or whatever most times. I watch a guy that takes apart electronics and reverse engineers stuff, and I learn a lot from YouTube, which is great, which I don't know that there's that kind of stuff on Netflix really at all.
No, I've deleted almost all of my streaming subscriptions at this point, and I've gone back to pirating everything. Like they made it
so expensive.
I know, dude.
They're also split up.
They literally recreated the situation like it was before streaming. Like before streaming services, I was pirating things, and now the streaming services have got just as bad as these like TV subscriptions. That's like I'm back to pirating, bro.
I can't believe I just heard. I was listening to like Linus Tech Tips has another channel where they do like every other day like updates or whatever on news things. AMC theaters are going to make you watch 25 minutes of ads before the movie in the theater. What? They already had some ads. Movie trailers wasn't really that bad. It sounds like they're going to make it actually like a lot of ads. And I'm like, well, what are you paying for? And I'm sure it's because they're struggling. You're not giving us enough reason to go see a movie in the theater. Like the convenience of watching a movie at home is so high that you've got to compete with that. And if movies are going to be out of theaters within 45 days or something, then like I'll wait the 45 days.
Yeah.
So you have to give us something so compelling that I can't have a sound system like that or a TV that size, but yet I can go to Costco and get a 95-inch TLC TV for like $900. The theaters don't have any reason to go to them anymore, hardly. And then you're going to put ads. That's going to be further me saying, well, why the hell would I go to a theater anymore? It's crazy.
An interesting fact about the theaters is they make either none or next to no money off the actual movie ticket. They make all their money off concessions.
Yeah.
All of it. The way that like the licensing thing is for like the movies, like they make no money on actually showing the movie. All their money's coming from that popcorn.
Yeah. And it's not that great sometimes.
Okay.
Like,
I have like
some of their food.
Yeah. Sometimes for sure. I love good movie popcorn though.
Yeah.
Covered in butter and just diabetes.
It's just like not possible to get the same quality from a microwaved bag.
Yeah. Yeah. Popcorn's the only thing though. The rest of it's like, ugh. Like I
think from our wedding, we got a popcorn machine, and I think it's sitting in the box in my theater at home. And I think I'm going to have to go unbox that.
You should, dude. That's pretty cool.
I can't believe that I forgot all about that. I think we moved it into the house and I was like, I'm going to put this here. And then it's just sat there and I forgot about it. Just fresh popcorn.
Dude, my dad used to make that like on the stove. So good.
I went to an art museum in Berlin once in an old World War II bunker. They had 8-foot thick concrete walls that you walked in to get inside. They had one room in there, had a popcorn machine in the center, and they just continued popping popcorn forever. And they encouraged you to eat the stale ass popcorn on the ground if you wanted to. But like you couldn't walk into the room because the doorway was covered full of popcorn that had overflowed, and they just keep refilling it and popping more popcorn forever and ever. It was kind of cool.
Eating on the ground is crazy.
Bro,
we've strayed so far from the
I got to get back to hacking some networks.
Yeah, I was going to say it's time. I need to hack some stuff too.
I got a meeting for RailsConf in 2 minutes, so I got to run. But I will see you and your cheesesteak friends in a few days.
Yes, sir. I'll meet you
I'm
at the
excited.
cheesesteak spot.
You getting another Wagyu cheesesteak at Shay's?
Bro, you already know it, dude. I saw Shay's like in a random video about British people trying American food, and I was like, oh my God, dude, like I have to go back.
When I went there, the guy in front of me, and this is like right after they opened, the guy in front of me was like, yeah, I saw you guys on TikTok. And I was like, all right, then they got to be doing something. They're working. Marketing.
It's going to be so good. Can't wait.
All right, bro.
All right,
I'm out of
See you
here.
there.